Hi, this is Gil. Welcome to Burkland Gardens. So we're just going to take a tour of the nursery today and show you what we've been doing. There's actually been some pretty exciting changes that help to improve the nursery. But I want to, as we're walking along, I can point out some of the mature trees that are in the nursery as well. So if you ever get a chance to visit, I'd love to have you just walk around the nursery. I can point out the trees that we have, and many of them I know the names. Some I don't know the cultivar names. I can usually tell what species they are, but anyway, we'll just kind of get started. So right behind me, we've got a bed that we have. I'm going to point out the incense cedar that's all golden color right now. It's called Mop and Glow, named for the town of Maupin, Oregon, and I believe there's a nursery there where it was discovered. And just the brightest gold. It doesn't burn. It was shaded out by two other trees, a giant weeping grand fir and a golden oak tree, and never colored up. But we have others on the property. They're smaller, but this one just outstanding. Nice to have it right here at the entrance to the nursery. So in that same bed, we have a large specimen of Canadian hemlock. There's quite a few Canadian hemlocks on the property, and we might point out a few today. They all look similar, but they'll have different growth habits, and there are some that have white needles or variegated needles. Nice thing about hemlocks is they can take sun or shade, so that's really nice. A tree that isn't a conifer is this Camperdam elm, a type of elm that has a weeping habit. In the wintertime, obviously with the leaves off the tree, you can see inside, and you can get an idea of the age of this Camperdam elm. Just did some pruning on it to clear it out, so we have some room between separation between the Canadian hemlock and the golden oak. Here is it's putting out some suckers after we cut it down, and I just pruned it all up, and we're just going to make a ball out of it. But what outstanding color, and this has always been a favorite tree. But right next to the driveway, it just puts down a lot of that sap, that honeydew, and on the cars around, and just got to be too hard to maintain and on the property. Well, we'll walk through this bed. I'm trying to figure out understory plants in here. You can see the stump from that grand fir that I'm going to stand on right here. This is a Cedars Atlantica, and this tree, I would estimate it's at least 35 years old, kind of in that range, and the color's outstanding. And as we see the trees today, we're going to see a lot of new growth, and it's just you just see the outstanding color and new growth that contrasts with the old growth, and much brighter. So I just wanted to mention that over the last week and a half or so, we've had really cool and wet weather, which for us here at the nursery has been a blessing, because we have some new lawn, and I'm going to point that out to you, and what we've done, what Travis has done, and I gave him a little bit of help too, but he's anyway, we'll kind of go into that as we move along through the yard here. But right behind me is a weeping beech tree. The thing is just huge, probably, I estimate, 50, 60 feet tall. And then there's one arm that goes up, and it's definitely 60, 70 feet tall. And all the branches weep down. They got the new growth that's it's actually growing now and starting to come down. And I'll take the hedge trimmers and over the next week or so and cut this all even, and it just have a nice even look to it. I want to point out a couple other trees in the same bed. We could probably do a number of videos just on the different trees we have here in the bed. So Bosnian pines, I think they're very underused tree, conifer, and this one is called Schmidt. Used to be called Schmidti. They changed it to Schmidt, and again, these are very old specimens. There's two side by side, and you can see the new growth on it. They just grow an inch or two a year, maybe on some years. On some they'll grow a couple inches, but nice large trunk. The colors are outstanding on them, and it's just really an outstanding tree, and wanted to point that out. So Bosnian pines, there's a number of cultivars. Irish bell, it's a little bit bigger, and then there's even more compactas, different cultivar names. So we've had to take down, Travis, my son, has gone through the yard and taken down, he had a count here in this front yard area of 350 pretty large trees that have been taken down. And it seems a shame, but it started to open things up, and there's more light coming in. Lost a little bit of privacy, but not a whole lot. And there's still trees that need to come down, but just cleaned this area out right in front of me. A golden hinoki. It was totally shaded out, never had any color. You could see it, you knew it was golden because there was a little bit of color in it. But now it's just nice and bright, and outstanding tree, and just about 6 feet tall, and clean that out. Here is, this is just an outstanding tree. It's a mountain hemlock, Sedum retensiana Elizabeth. And it's just a flat growing mountain hemlock. It's cultivar, and I estimate on this maybe 40 years old, maybe even more. And then right behind it is another Canadian hemlock. This one may have some yellow in it too. It's hard. I'm looking at the new growth, and it has that golden tone to it. So there's quite a few different ones on the property, and the names have all been lost. So we'll just enjoy them as they are. But here next to it is a tree that I do know the name of. It's a Dawn redwood called Miss Grace. And Miss Grace is very slow growing. Branches run out flat. Sometimes they'll be just flat on the ground, but this one's old enough, it's gotten up to about 6 to 7 feet tall. Had to take a few dead branches off, open that up, clean that all out. Another Canadian hemlock with a ginkgo right above it. Pretty tall ginkgo. Got one of the few Japanese maples planted on the ground here. There is some verticillium on our property, so any maples I have at the nursery I keep in containers usually, but there are survivors, and so this one's been here for many, many years. Another upright Canadian hemlock, a little too close, but right now it's fine. So here's a tree. It's a bald cypress. There's two different weeping ones. Maybe there's even more, I don't know. Cascade Falls and Falling Waters. I think this is Falling Waters, but I've seen a video of Tom Cox's garden in Atlanta, and he has one over a pond that's quite large, and I'm not sure which cultivar, but really a nice specimen you could use in a small yard, especially over a water feature and some rocks. Okay, so right next to me is a species Dawn redwood, and you can see the trunk and how rough that trunk is, and how gnarly and flared the root mass is down here at the ground. And it's just an amazing tree. And while it's not super tall, but it is tall. I mean, it's 60 feet tall at least, probably, and but very, very wide. And I like to show people that come to the nursery this tree, especially if they're interested at all in Dawn redwoods. So we've got some giant sequoias here. These are called the blue cone. They're not quite as wide as the species of giant sequoia, but really nice intense blue color. The back of the property is lined with these that are about 70, 80 feet tall, and these are getting close to that. You can see the nice root flare on them. These are grafted trees. Occasionally you'll find them, but of course they need a lot of room. So I'm just going to talk about our new lawn a little bit. You know, with clearing out all the trees and just to maintain the property, Travis' thought was to get these open areas into lawn and reduce the need for weeding all of those areas. So if it can be mowed, it can be easier to maintain. Anyway, this was planted, I'll say 5 to 6 weeks ago, right around May, April 15th, I think April 14th, 15th. So it was graded. It's not absolutely perfectly graded, but it's good enough for what we use here on the farm. and fertilizer, seed, and a little bit of top dressing mulch, just paper mulch, just a thin layer to help retain moisture. So it's getting its first mowing today. This hair hasn't been mowed. Over to my right here it was just mowed today. So and that'll start to thicken up as well. I didn't even notice this until today, but this dogwood is in bloom, and just hundreds, even maybe thousands of flowers. This is one of about 4 or 5 dogwoods on the property that are just really nice. This one puts a lot of seedlings down. I collect them, and they, you know, I don't think they're anything special. The seedlings themselves, the tree itself, the dogwood is really nice. And then just with the new lawn coming in, we're cleaning out the beds, planting a lot of shade plants and plants in the bed right here. I really like this eastern white pine. Dave Helm says this one, he refreshed his memory, it's called Minuta, and it is not slender, but more narrow, and as a very old tree, it's only about less than 20 feet tall, shows some nice layering. I cleaned it out, a number of years ago, maybe 7 or 8 years ago on the inside. One thing about the white pines, lots of pitch, so we'll look at this bed too. It's another of the shade beds. I've had this one, especially the front part of it, established for a number of years, so hostas are more mature. And this is a fir from California called Winter Gold. It's a concolor fir. Different hostas, and then this sedum Angelina, the golden one. This is one, I may have talked about it before. It will spread quite easily and seed itself around. So if you want an aggressive sedum, that's the one. If you don't, that's not the one for you. Got some hardy fuchsias, Laura pedalum, which is native to the East Coast, like the Carolinas and that. Got some sedums, ornamental strawberries. I think that's what they are. I was researching it the other day, and it looks like it could be something else that could be misidentified. But it's been in my yard for years. It's a division off that. Solomon seal in the back, that's real popular. I just had some divisions off of that and sold most of those just recently. So this makes a nice area with the hostas and a shade garden. Just a bit of a chore to keep it watered, and but we've got some mulch down to help retain moisture. So we've got a purple fountain beech here. Again, we just looked at the dogwood. I think there's a golden thuya. I'm not sure that's going to stay. And then some mostly new plants here. Another plant I've got in here as well is this epimedium, and they do flower. They're evergreen. The foliage, to get the full benefit of the flowers, is best to prune them back in mid to late winter, more mid-winter, so you can see the flowers, otherwise they'll be hidden. Got a few pieris, a black elderberry, one of the dwarf ones. Put a pot on the stump, and I have some nasturtiums in there. And then you just kind of continue on with the grass coming through here. This is all new grass right in front of us. There's lots of lawn here at Burkland Gardens, but there's also hundreds and hundreds of plants to look at. So I think everything just kind of shows better with the lawn. It just ties everything together, where the turf, the lawn is bright, and it's when it's mowed, and you can look out and you can point out we had looked at a Schmidt earlier that was only that big right in front of me, and I'm pointing to that dark green. That's a Schmidt as well, and it's about 6 feet tall, so out in a more open area. So that's kind of their height range if they're quite old. If you enjoy this tour and want to see more of the plants at the nursery, let us know. Let us know in the comments, and I'll do my best to respond. You know, and definitely going to be checking that out and see what your response is to this video. So I appreciate you watching. This is Memorial Day weekend. This is Thursday before, so wish you a happy Memorial Day, and the weather turned from very cool and rainy. Now we're just starting to warm up, but just the high 60s and 70s. So we had almost perfect weather for this lawn getting established, and I haven't had to do any watering for the last week and a half, or about week and a half, and so I'm going to be starting to do more watering here. That's maybe a subject for another video, because that's the importance of watering. But I thank you for joining us, and hope to see you on the next video. Bye for now.